That does leave Silas in mid, and it also means Morgana's heading to support to pair with a Smolder. In the early game, it will make him more susceptible to losing out in these short trades where Silas will just be able to dash in, proc electrocute, and jump out. And I don't know if Kog'Maw is able to just trade back with enough damage with his setup. We'll have to see. Personally, I'm skeptical. Also, let's not forget that, like, we're talking about a very skilled jungler in the UNL context, and also one of the best players in UNL playing mid. So that is another obstacle. Astral Infection going for an invade potentially. They have Dark Binding. They could set up for a pick, but they are found out in time. So they'll just have to settle for a ward. Will Best in Slot be able to clear that out with a sweeper? Will someone base for that, or will Chop just decide to go for some kind of different pathing? He actually went to get Vision down on the other side, and there is a ward on the Raptors that will not get cleared out. So both teams getting some information. I mean, any kind of early advantage here in the lane would do dividends for Spies and CJ. Getting level 2 here before them would be pretty important. And we're already seeing a situation where Sam is able to proc that electrocute level 1. Already out trading the Kog'Maw this early into the game. Okay, I mean, Granny's doing his best to counteract the combo. But the way things are, it's not looking good for... Oh, hold on. Went too hard for the trade. He takes a tower shot there, and that puts Silas in a pretty risky spot. Can Harry stay alive, or maybe even call his jungler? Oh, Sam goes in for the Kingslayer, and he just about manages to cash it with his chain. That is a solo kill. But Kog'Maw gets one back with his passive. Silas decides to go for a TP. Meanwhile, Kog'Maw just decides to walk back to lane. And I'm not sure if that's going to result in some kind of XP lead. Right now, they're still pretty much even, but the wave position still for Kog'Maw feels like it's quite precarious. We could be looking at more advantageous trades here for Silas in the near future. Yeah, the wave is not looking good. Aquatic Scourge. Right now, he's just looking for an opportunity to trade back, but he doesn't have very good information about where Jarvan is, so right now he's just staying back and respecting the potential opportunities that Jarvan may have. But right now it feels like Seraflop is the one that's a little bit ahead when it comes to the jungle clear speed. Now Chop makes his way towards mid. Silas is feeling some of that hurt when it comes to the harass. Oh, the Demacian standard combo actually lands. And Silas is flashless. And that is an extra kill going towards the Kog'Maw. I thought Sam on the Silas would just be able to dash away from the combo, but that was not the case. Best in Slot get another kill mid. And they also bail out the Kog'Maw. That wave is crashing all the way into the turret. That is very good news. That Lost Chapter coming in. Gonna be a big help for Granny in mid. Both I mean, both mid laners not really CSing all that much. Like, Sam more so trying to zone rather than just go for a perfect CS. Meanwhile, like, Granny, obviously, he had to respect the trade potential that Silas has. Good push away from Wally on the Cassante. I mean, we haven't even talked about that. He's the one playing Cassante here, and it's like... he's playing on pretty high ping all the way from the West Coast, and, you know, doesn't really care about that, apparently. Not really concerned. We'll see how much how much practice he put in on this pick. Once again, the wave shoving away from Granny on this Cogwell, but once again, he has really good coverage from his jungler as well as his support. Will that be enough, though? It's not pushed all the way in. I feel like Best in Slot have to be a little bit more careful. Now we decide to go onto Clefairy, however. Can they get at least one kill here? The Ignite comes out. That forces Astral Infection to respond. And that does basically allow Granny to crash another wave safely. I mean, the more time goes on, the safer it will be for Cogwell to just shove these waves over and over again. As I say that, however, Spore will have to flash. She also used the berry at the same time, though. That might have been at least a waste of one summoner. Best in Slot definitely got what they came for. They also have positioning on the river. I don't know if they want to go for this dragon. I guess Astral Infection, they are content with just trading Dwarfs for Dragon, the way things are right now. They understand the position they were in. That is a solid start for Best in Slot. Doing pretty well for themselves in this early game, especially the Cogmaw being able to more or less withstand the aggression. Silas actually being punished, but oh man, that Jax damage almost forces Cassante back into the fountain, but the damage is already done. He's not healthy enough to collect this wave at his own tower, and he's going to be losing all those minions on the other side of the map. Good flash from CJ. They punish the flashless Smolder, who does not have cover from his support. Best in Slot pounce once again when Astral Infection were not ready to respond, and Aquatic Scourge almost down at his own turret. Just one more living artillery had to land, but Silas managing to dodge away at the last second. The aggression from Best in Slot is quite something here. Now we're trying to punish this Cassante. I mean, right now he's not feeling all that pressured. The wave will be coming into him, so he's not that pressed to do stuff right now. But perhaps soon he will be. And this CS lead is starting to grow bigger by the minute. Yeah, Q auto W. That gives him the auto reset. That is always just going to be a trade that Cassante cannot hope to go up against if he doesn't use his W to block most of that damage. But even then, with the passive fully charged up, Jax can just do that whole trade in a short span of time. Okay, can Astral Infection finally get a punish on one side of the map at least? Counter-Strike will buy time for Wibbly. All out from Wally will not result in a kill. Wibbly flashes away to safety. That was a sequence that brought out multiple members of Astral Infection. 3, in fact. Granny gets another shove of the minion wave straight towards the tower. Best in slot forced 2v2 once again, but the dark binding into the ultimate from the Morgana does a lot of damage just on its own. Ogma actually making his way mid with the roam. I mean, bot. Plenty of damage. The flash respond with a flash from Best in Slot, but this might be too much of an overextension from multiple members of Best in Slot. Silas, this is where he comes alive. He steals the ultimate and he just continues to kill one after another from Best in Slot. It's an absolute disaster for Blue Team. They went in way too hard for the kills. And Silas, who was way behind, and well, not way behind, but he was behind in the lane, with one counter gank, his fortunes turn, like basically make a 180 turn. Now he's the one that he's going to be potentially dictating how the lane goes from now on. It's a big, big misstep for Best in Slot, it has to be said. It was going so well for them, but they spent way too long on the play, and they allow Astral Infection to respond. Obviously, it's not all a tragedy. They still have the Jax, who's doing very well for himself. The Kog'Maw is not doing poorly either, but that was a big chunk of gold for the Silas. This is something that could have been entirely avoided. Counter-Strike again from Wibbly. He's just winning out on these trades like crazy. Astral Infection onto the Dragon. Best in Slot, a bit split up. I don't think they want this, but Chop goes in for a steal and he's just going to secure it. It's 2 Dragons for Best in Slot. Spies flashes away to get himself away from multiple members of Astral Infection. Best in Slot, they still want the fight. Chop still has Cataclysm, but where's the rest of the team though? They're once again Best in Slot fighting at a disadvantage, and they're just getting picked off one by one. Astral Infection just taking advantage of the fact that Best in Slot are choosing to fight at the wrong moments. And just like that, Aquatic Scourge goes from 1 and 2 to 6 and 2. And it only took a few minutes. This is the power of Astral Infection. They know how to play from behind. Nice all out from Cassante. Probably saves him there in that situation. Cancels out the CC. Oh, Wally goes back in to try and trade back, but like, he had absolutely nothing left in the tank. But here comes Silas though, with his Lich Bane and his Magi Soul Stealer. He's feeling mighty, mighty confident on this pick now. That's 14 stacks right now on the book. And we will see if he can keep those stacks alive. Oh, Clefairy without the spell shield not being able to withstand the 2v1. That's going to go to the Kaisa. And this game has been going full throttle for a while. I'll have to see what happens next. Diego wants to fight against the Jax. Jax is potentially winning out against the Viego, but the Silas is still there. Can he survive into a 1v2? Or does Wibbly have enough damage to turn it around? Yes, he has! With the passive fully stacked up, the Trinity Force already completed, the Jax decides it's my time to shine. And best in slot, they play towards top and they find what they were looking for. Wibbly is getting really, really strong on this Jax pick. While he does not have his ultimate, I don't think he should be looking for this. He might just die under his own turret. Yeah, he has to break away. He doesn't have W to withstand the dive from the Jax, and he will be able to get that turret for himself. It's 2 turrets to 0 from best in slot. Despite all the setbacks they have suffered, they're still looking strong, still looking to fight. Another 2v2 forced out by best in slot. Can they get at least 1 kill? Spies! But he needs just 1 last auto to get the kill, and he does just that. Really impressive stuff coming in from the best in slot bot lane right here. Taking advantage, basically, of all the openings that they were presented, they got all of them right. An Astral Infection, this is a tough nut to crack for them. They still have the scaling, but they will have to stand strong in the mid game. The top lane matchup in the side lane is not looking good for them. Then you also have the bot lane, who is certainly looking strong. The Kog'Maw is still trucking along with respectable CS numbers. The best in slot are definitely well positioned for the mid game. Question is, how will they play out this dragon sequence? Jax for now staying top without his teleport. He'll be looking to keep K'Sante occupied while his team plays out with 4v4. Hopefully in his favor. K'Sante just goes for a 1v1, but Jax is way stronger than he is, even when K'Sante has his ult up. Astral Infection go for the fight, but Spies is hitting the front line. He's very dangerous right now. It's Spies that gets the first kill. Kog'Maw still allowed to auto-attack. Clefairy is the one to fall next for Astral Infection. Meanwhile, best in slot also winning out on the top side of the map. Jax will die eventually. But best in slot make good on their lead in the early game, and they get a win. That will probably lead to this dragon being taken as well. It was a narrow win. I don't know if I should say narrow when Kog'Maw and Kai'Sa are still standing and basically at 100% HP. But it was a pretty tense team fight for them, and they managed to maneuver inside of it really well. And that is best in slot at Soul Point. 18 minutes into the game. 5 minutes from now, we could be looking at Cloud Soul for best in slot. And to think this would not have been possible if not for that steal from Chop on the second dragon. Uh-oh. It's Jax versus Sylas. They meet in the side lane. I don't think Aquatic Scourge was expecting this to happen. And he just gets caught with his pants down in the side lane down bot. Best in slot. Get another big advantage here potentially as a Rift Herald is about to be spawned. And they will lead this down all the way to the tier 2. And the rest of best in slot is also in position to respond to Viego trying to catch the wave, but there's no other members of Astral Infection there at present. Astral Infection feels like they are lost right now. Just trying to answer to what best in slot doing as best they can, but it's not very coordinated. They're losing members one after another. And they're also having waves that have to answer. as Kog'Maw is getting resources basically unopposed. Right now he's at Luden's Storm Surge. 2 items completed. Sork Shoes coming up. The big items are coming in quick succession for Best in Slot. This could be the strongest we'll ever see them in this game, and they have to keep the pain train going here. Try to set up a successful fight that leads them to the Baron. And a very important pick for Best in Slot just now that could lead to the Baron. It's a 5v4 Astral Infection. They are not ready to respond to this. They do not have the vision to even walk up to the objective. Best in Slot are there to respond to Viego, even if he decided to walk into the Baron pit. Oh, but they might just get a pick anyway. Servlop has to be careful. Gets jumped on. Jax uses his flash to try and secure that kill. But now it's getting dangerous. This is just a portion of the game where Best in Slot are pulling ahead, dangerously ahead. And right now, as it stands, it feels like Astral Infection just do not have enough gold in the right members to be able to respond to this. We look at the Smolder as well, not quite at the threshold where we would consider him to be the strongest just yet. We're still we have to get to a point where Smolder can actually execute people with his Scorcher Breath. He needs a lot more than that. I mean, right now, Best in Slot are feeling confident enough to the point where they have Kog'Maw sat in the side lane. While Yamba Cassante, I feel like Jax could just be auto-attacking the tower in his face, and it wouldn't really mean, yeah, that's exactly what happened. Cassante is not able to respond to that whatsoever. There's another tier 2 falling on the other side. Best in Slot getting old gold injections all over. Cassante falling down to 50%. Even if Viego decides to gank here, I don't think it's going to mean a thing. Even Counter-Strike is going to block out a lot of that damage. So Wibbly could just easily 1v2 in this situation. Meanwhile, Best in Slot are still happy pushing on the other side. Rakan, ultimate stolen by the Silas, but he's stopped right in his tracks. What a counter engage from Best in Slot. Silas falls first. Morgana tries to save the situation, but it's not going to matter. No, Smolder CC'd up right in the middle of things. And Best in Slot just crushed this fight. 4 members down. Baron buff still up for all 5 members. This is just game. Best in Slot have defeated Astral Infection in 24 minutes. What a showing from this whole team. Even with substitutes, even with role swaps, they have shown their true strength against Astral Infection. Really, really solid.